This story is usually told like the problem is obvious. There's a giant, he's loud and scary, and everybody's afraid, and then enter the hero. But if you slow down long enough to actually read the opening of the story, something else starts to surface. Israel isn't clueless. They aren't spiritual beginners. This is not a group of pagans who don't know who God is. This is God's covenant people. They have a history with him. They have priests. They have sacrifices. They have stories of seas parting and enemies failing. They know the promises by heart, and they're completely frozen. 1 Samuel 17 makes that painfully clear. Goliath steps out day after day, not just mocking Israel, but mocking their God. And the response is not confusion, it's fear. And it's not even momentary fear, it is sustained paralysis. The text tells us the entire army is dismayed and greatly afraid. That detail matters. This isn't a story about one timid soldier hiding in the back. It's about an entire people who know exactly who God is and still can't move. Knowledge isn't missing. Theology isn't missing. Covenant isn't missing. What's missing is trust in the nearness of God in this moment that would propel them to action. That should make us uncomfortable because if we're honest, we've heard that in our own story. We often assume fear comes from not knowing enough about God, as if clearer doctrine or stronger reminders would fix everything, but this story refuses to let us off that easy. Israel's fear exists alongside deep spiritual knowledge. They know God's promises. They just can't feel his presence right now. And that's the tension this story opens with. Not courage versus fear, but knowledge versus trust. Knowing who God is does not automatically translate into confidence that he is with you right here and right now in this moment. So before David ever picks up a stone for his showdown with Goliath, the story confronts us with something much harder. What if fear isn't the absence of faith, but the exposure of where faith has become theoretical? What if the real struggle isn't believing God can act, but trusting that he is present when the pressure is real? I want us to sit with that today. The story doesn't begin with a hero. It begins with God's people stuck, surrounded by everything they know to be true, and yet unable to move. Thanks for spending a few minutes before the noise with me today. And don't forget, knowing God's promises is not the same thing as trusting his presence. God loves you more deeply than you could possibly imagine.